Hare Krishna. Somebody can please lead the invocation prayers.
Prabhuji, may I try this one?
Go ahead, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Om Anjana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Dasmai Sri Guruve Namaha Sri Chaitanyam Manobhistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yutapatakamallam Sri Guru Vaishnav Cha Sri Rupam Sagradam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tamsa Jivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishnakan Vitam Cha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesa Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostude Tapta Kanjana Gaurangi Radhe Vrinda Vaneswari Risabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhayaivacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktaviranda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Bhagavate Vasudevaya Hare Krishna.
Okay, thank you. Hare Krishna. Thank you all for coming. Quick announcement before we begin that many of you who listen to recordings, you get this error that you cannot play the Zoom recordings on your phone. So I got an email from Zoom company that they are in the process of fixing this glitch. And hopefully by 16th of March, they're going to release a patch to fix this glitch. Hopefully once that patch is released and installed on the various devices, you should be able to listen to the class recordings on the phone just as you used to be able to listen to it earlier. Okay, so from today, we will start Unit 4 of Srimad Bhagavatam, which is Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 10 onwards. Unit 4 is titled Lord Krishna in Hastinapur and Dwarka. And Unit 4 covers chapters 10 to 13. Chapter 10 is titled Departure of Lord Krishna for Dwarka. As the chapter 10 is titled Lord Krishna in Hastinapur and Dwarka, Unit 4 deals with Krishna's departure from Hastinapur to Dwarka. Chapter 10 is divided into 3 parts. Part 1 is verses 1 to 6. Title is Yudhishthir's Rule over Kingdom. Part 2 is verses 7 to 30. Krishna's departure from Hastinapur to Dwarka. And part 3 is verses 31 to 36. Lord accepts prayers of ladies. So chapter 10 describes that Krishna's desire is fulfilled, that Krishna wanted Yudhishthir to be the ruler, his devotees to be the ruler, and Krishna's activities are completed. Hence, Krishna is preparing to leave Hastinapur and return to Dwarka. When Krishna is about to leave, the ladies of Hastinapur, they praise Krishna. And in this chapter, Krishna's travel to Dwarka is described. So in terms of a recap as to where we are, in chapter 8, Krishna was about to leave for Dwarka after Krishna completed his activities in Hastinapur. But Krishna could not go to Dwarka at that time because a gap was created. First, Uttara came to Krishna for protection. And in that connection, Sutta Goswami described how Krishna protected Parikshit Maharaj. And then Sutta Goswami described the prayers of Kunti Maharani, following which Yudhishthir could not be consoled, leading to the description and prayers of Bhishma Dev. In this chapter 10, Saunaka Rishi will bring this same subject matter about Lord's departure as to how the residents of all these provinces through which Krishna traveled approach Krishna and how Krishna reciprocated. Plus the point that how Yudhishthir was ruling the kingdom. So the connection between chapters 9 and 10 is that when Yudhishthir was aggrieved because of death of relatives and Yudhishthir could not be consoled, this was Krishna's plan to bring Yudhishthir to Bhishma Dev. This was Krishna's plan to bring Yudhishthir to Bhishma Dev, where Yudhishthir heard religious duties of a king. Finally, Bhishma Dev is praying for Rati. Rati to the Parthasarathi form of Krishna. And then Bhishma Dev left his body looking at the beautiful Parthasarathi form of Krishna. And Pandavas performed the final rites. After coming back to Hastinapur, Yudhishthir became king, and Yudhishthir ruled the kingdom. But Yudhishthir offered utmost respect to Dhritarashtra. Yudhishthir got guidance from Dhritarashtra as well as confirmed the actions by Krishna. So today we will read a lot of purports, and this chapter 10 verse number 1 is a very relevant question. Dhara, 10.1 translation.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Shaunaka Muni asked, after killing his enemies who desired to usurp his rightful inheritance, how did the greatest of all religious men, Maharaj Yudhishthir, assisted by his brothers, rule his subjects? Surely he could not freely enjoy his kingdom with unrestricted consciousness. Hare Krishna.
So in the battle, all died. Krishna protected Pandavas and Parikshit Maharaj. And Krishna is pleased by making Yudhishthir as king. So Saunaka Rishi's question is that Yudhishthir lost all his relatives. So how could Yudhishthir rule? How could Yudhishthir enjoy the kingdom? Yudhishthir lost his relatives, so how could he rule when Yudhishthira did not have anyone to share his opulence with. Yudhishthira was perfectly religious man, and Yudhishthira was deprived of inheritance of kingdom because kingdom was usurped by Duryodhana. Duryodhana and his parties were aggressors. So we'll understand this and the answer to this very important question. Nitya, are you able to read verse number 1 purport?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, yes. Purport, Maharaj Yudhishthira was the greatest of all men of religion. Thus, he was not at all inclined to fight with his cousins for the sake of enjoying the kingdom. He fought for the right cause because the kingdom of Hastinapur was his rightful inheritance, and his cousins wanted to usurp it for themselves. He fought, therefore, for the right cause under the guidance of Lord Krishna, but he could not enjoy the results of his victory because his cousins were all killed in the fight. He therefore ruled over the kingdom as a matter of duty, assisted by his younger brothers. This inquiry was important for Saunaka Rishi, who wanted to know about the behavior of Maharaja Yudhishthira when he was at ease to enjoy the kingdom.
So we read in the purport that Yudhishthira accepted to become the king as a matter of duty, not to enjoy, as a matter of duty. So in verses 2 to 6 are the principles of leadership. From the example of Yudhishthira Maharaj, one can understand how to be a successful leader like Yudhishthira Maharaj. So, as we read through verses 2 to 6, try to find out answers to these two questions that I am about to give you. Question number 1 is, so write down this question. Question number 1. What is the motive behind Yudhishthira accepting the duty as a king? So yes, we read in verse number 1 that Yudhishthira accepted to become king as a duty. But now the question is, what is the motive behind Yudhishthira accepting this duty as a king? And the second question is, what did Yudhishthira do to become a successful executive head? So as we read through, try to get answers to these questions, and then we will try to understand and discuss. So as we will discuss these verses and the principles of leadership, we will also discuss the non-palatable points, whether these principles of leadership are followed or not followed at ISKCON. So will be a little heavier conversation as we go through, where we will cover very few verses, but they are pretty heavy verses. Okay, let's see. Shivangi, verse number 2, translation and purport.
Verse number 2, Hare Krishna, translation. Sutta Goswami said, Lord Shri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the maintainer of the world, became pleased after re-establishing Maharaja Yudhishthira in his own kingdom and after restoring the Kuru dynasty, which had been exhausted by the bamboo fire of anger. Purport. This world is compared to a forest fire caused by the cohesion of bamboo bushes. Such a forest fire takes place automatically, for bamboo cohesion occurs without external cause. Similarly, in the material world, the wrath of those who want to lord it over material nature acts, and the fire of war takes place, exhausting the unwanted population. Such fires or wars take place, and the Lord has nothing to do with them. But because he wants to maintain the creation, he desires the mass of people to follow the right path of self-realization, which enables the living beings to enter into the kingdom of God. The Lord wants the suffering human beings to come back home, back to him, and cease to suffer the threefold material pangs. The whole plan of creation is made in that way, and one who does not come to his senses suffers in the material world by pangs inflicted by the illusory energy of the Lord. The Lord therefore wants his bona fide representative to rule the world. Lord Shri Krishna descended to establish this sort of regime and to kill the unwanted persons who have nothing to do with his plan. The battle of Kurukshetra was fought according to the plan of the Lord, so that undesirable persons could get out of the world and a peaceful kingdom under his devotee could be established. The Lord was therefore fully satisfied when King Yudhishthira was on the throne and the seedling of the dynasty of Kuru in the person of Maharaja Parikshit was saved.
Did you find some relevant points for the questions? All of you, please participate and quickly, please.
Yes.
What's the point you found?
Because unwanted people were got out of the world so that he can rule the world.
Okay. Okay. So the two questions that we have is, what is the motive behind Yudhishthir accepting the duty as a king? And the question two is, what did Yudhishthir do to become a successful executive head? Did you find some answers to these, some points? Yes, no?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, King Yudhishthira also accepted his kingship because it was the desire of the Lord, because of Lord's guidance.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, Yudhishthir accepted the duty to become king because Yudhishthir wanted to satisfy the Lord. So yes, Matan Prabhu also correctly pointed out, and Nitya also, the points. So that the Lord created this world and he wants to see that the world is properly maintained. And who will maintain? Will be maintained by Krishna's own representatives, not by demons not by demons like Duryodhana. Therefore, king is supposed to be representative of Krishna. Krishna's representative will maintain this world properly. So a Vaishnava knows how to utilize everything in service of Krishna. So the aim of this creation is giving us conditioned souls a chance for liberation. When Krishna saw that Yudhishthira is situated on the throne, not just of Hastinapur, but of the whole world. Hastinapur was the capital of the whole world. Krishna became satisfied. So to satisfy the Lord, that's why Yudhishthir accepted this duty to become the king. Everybody with me? Questions, comments, realizations? Shivangi?
Every it seems it's not that different than a devotee accepting like the post of Brahma or some kind of demigod, right? It's kind of the same principle.
You are correct. You are correct that again Brahmaji has also accepted the post as a duty, and we will read in Canto 2, Chapter 9, verses 33 to 36, which are the Chatur Shloki verses of Srimad Bhagavatam. where Brahmaji will ask this question that, okay, you have given me this duty where I have to work with material nature, but how do I don't get bound? And Krishna will respond that just focus on my instructions given in the Chaturshloki Srimad Bhagavatam, as well as focus on my lotus feet, focus on doing as a service, and then material nature will not touch you. Very good, Shivangi. Everybody on the same page?
Yes, Prabhu.
All right. Divya, verse number 3, translation and purport, faster pace, please.
Hare Krishna, verse number 3, translation. Maharaja Yudhishthir, after being enlightened by what was spoken by Bhishma Dev and Lord Sri Krishna, the infallible, engaged himself in matters of perfect knowledge because all his misgivings were eradicated. Thus he ruled over the earth and seas and was followed by his younger brothers. Purport. The modern English law of primogeniture, or the law of inheritance by the firstborn, was also prevalent in those days when Maharaja Yudhishthir ruled the earth and seas. In those days, the king of Hastinapura, now part of New Delhi, was the emperor of the world, including the seas, up to the time of Maharaja Parikshit, the grandson of Maharaja Yudhishthira. Maharaja Yudhishthira's younger brothers were acting as his ministers and commanders of state, and there was full cooperation between the perfectly religious brothers of the king. Maharaja Yudhishthir was the ideal king or representative of Lord Sri Krishna to rule over the kingdom of earth and was comparable to King Indra, the representative ruler of the heavenly planets. The demigods like Indra, Chandra, Surya, Varuna, and Vayu are representative kings of different planets of the universe, and similarly, Maharaja Yudhishthira was also one of them, ruling over the kingdom of earth. Maharaja Yudhishthira was not a typically unenlightened political leader of modern society democracy. Maharaja Yudhishthira was instructed by Bhishma Deva and the infallible Lord also, and therefore he had full knowledge of everything in perfection. The modern elected executive head of a state is just like a puppet because he has no kingly power. Even if he is enlightened like Maharaja Yudhishthira, he cannot do anything out of his own goodwill due to his constitutional position. Therefore, there are so many states over the earth quarreling because of ideological differences or other selfish motives. But a king like Maharaja Yudhishthira had no ideology of his own. He had but to follow the instructions of the infallible Lord and the Lord's representative and the authorized agent Bhishma Deva. It is instructed in the Shastras that one should follow the great authority and the infallible Lord without any personal motive and manufactured ideology. Therefore, it was possible for Maharaja Yudhishthira to rule the whole world, including the seas, because the principles were infallible and universally applicable to everyone. The conception of one world state can only be fulfilled if we can follow the infallible authority. An imperfect human being cannot create an ideology acceptable to everyone. Only the perfect and infallible can create a program which is applicable at every place and can be followed by all in the world. It is the person who rules and not the impersonal government. If the person is perfect, the government is perfect. If the person is a fool, the government is a fool's paradise. That is the law of nature. There are so many stories of imperfect kings or executive heads. Therefore, the executive head must be a trained person like Maharaja Yudhishthir, and he must have the full autocratic power to rule over the world. The conception of a world state can take shape only under the regime of a perfect king like Maharaja Yudhishthir. The world was happy in those days because there were kings like Maharaja Yudhishthir to rule over the world.
Did you find some relevant points on a successful executive head?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare
Because he had no ideology of his own and he followed instructions of Lord.
Yeah, very good. Correct point. Pragya.
Yes. Sorry, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. So basically this only, that he followed the principles of Lord and of Bhishma, listened to Bhishma Deva while ruling. So that is why he was an ideological ruler. And these principles are, infallible, and they are universally applicable to everyone. So therefore, when he was following those principles, he was able to become a successful executive head.
Very good. Correct points. Rest of you. Anybody? Something else?
Prabhu, an imperfect person, that means a conditioned soul or a person with imperfect senses cannot create the rules and things to follow. So that's the thing of the political leaders now.
Yeah. Very good. Correct point. That Yudhishthir had no ideology of his own, no personal motive, and no manufactured ideology. Yudhishthir followed the instructions of the infallible Lord and the Lord's authorized representative, such as Bhishma Dev. Therefore, it was possible for Yudhishthir to rule the whole world because principles were infallible and universally applicable to everyone. So you can compare with what's going on in today's times. Just as recently the election completed in US, that a government changed. What was happening on day one? The first thing the new government does is to reverse the policies of the old government. And again, when the new government comes in, and assume if there is a change, the new government will again, first thing they will do is reverse the policies of the previous government. Why? Because all these policies are manufactured by imperfect Shudras sitting in leadership positions, and all these policies are not universally applicable. Therefore, the first thing the new government does is they reverse the policies of the previous government. So Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport that the conception of one world state, can only be fulfilled if we can follow the infallible authority. An imperfect human being cannot create an ideology acceptable to everyone. Only the perfect and the infallible can create a program which is applicable at every place and can be followed by all in the world. Therefore, the executive head must be trained person like Yudhishthir. Then the world will become a happy place, just as the world was a happy place in those days under Yudhishthir and Parikshit Maharaj. Because there were kings like Yudhishthir and Parikshit Maharaj, trained kings like Yudhishthir and Parikshit Maharaj to rule over the world, who did not have any personal motive, who did not manufacture any ideology. They simply followed the principles of the Lord, the infallible and the universally applicable principles of the Lord. Just look around in today, in the whole world, not just in one or two places, in the whole world, which leader is a trained person? Anybody? Anybody can find anyone?
Prabhuji, are we, when we say trained, do we mean that trained as per the scriptures and our scriptures, Indian scriptures, or do we somebody who's following Christianity, or I do not know what their scriptures preach, but that person can also be a just ruler?
So
And one more thing, I was sorry.
let me
Prabhuji,
first
yes.
answer. So
Yes, Prabhuji.
trained in scriptural knowledge. So we have scriptures such as Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, and somebody trained on Bible, as long as it is the original Bible, they are also properly trained. The challenge with Bible is that they don't have authorized purports. Therefore, everybody has created their own purports. Everybody meaning ordinary people, which has contaminated what Bible's original message is. But it's not restricted to Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. As long as you have original scriptures being followed, yes, Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam that we have definitely are the original scriptures that Prabhupada has translated for all of us. That's what. Do you find anyone trained in these original scriptures?
No, Prabhuji, but the thing is that we are saying that in this particular purport, we are questioning democracy, that they are elected by people who have no knowledge either. So
You are correct.
they are also useless. Then, Prabhuji, this is it? Are we talking about that aristocracy that was there, which has to, like here, they have through lineage they have come up, right? So we don't have, I do not know whether that kind of a lineage exists, or if that kind of a lineage person is also good. So,
So a couple of
means,
points. So first you say democracy, and answer for yourself or for all of us, is it democracy or is it demon crazy? Anybody? Do you think anywhere in the world there is a democracy right now? Or is it a
No,
demon?
Prabhu.
Is it demon crazy?
Absolutely. We have all leaders who seem on the verge of dictatorship.
All right. Pragya?
Prabhuji, democracy in this form of the political science, it is there. But the thing is that you choose from among who are fighting the elections, and they may not be the right people, but you have to choose only among them. So in that sense, what you're saying is right. So
Yeah. So in all countries, I think it's there in India also, and here in Canada also, there is an option when there is election, there is an option to choose none of the above. The challenge with that option is that it's not there on the ballot. If you have to choose none of the above, you have to go to the elections office and do a special way to vote none of the above. Well, if that option was put on the ballot, that's when you will know whether there is democracy or demon crazy. So, Pragya, you are right that you have to choose from those who are on the ballot. But the point I'm trying to make about democracy versus demon crazy is that who are on the ballot? Are they trained? What exactly are they doing when they get this this power?
no, Prabhuji, they are evil to say the least. So they are definitely not the. But that Prabhuji, that nota option is there. The thing is that even if you exercise that option, what is the next lot of they may be re-election, then again the same thing will happen. Another set of people will come who will again be not trained in scriptural knowledge. So
You are correct that yes, right now you are basically choosing best of the worst, right? But this whole system has to drastically change to get trained people as executive heads, only then the world will become a happy place. Otherwise, look how many wars are going on. Every corner of the world, there is some war. Why? Because everybody has their own ideology. Everybody has this I, me, mine concept. They are not trained. And they just create their own ideology. How can the world be a happy place then? Everybody on the same page? Questions, comments, realizations?
Prabhuji, I do not know whether you follow India or not, but like Yogi Adityanath is there. He's supposed to be a trained person to rule Uttar Pradesh. I do not know whether he's doing the right things or not.
Yeah, and
Or
simultaneously,
Modi.
what Pragya, you pointed out earlier, that it's not just the leaders who should be trained, but the people also should know what that trained leader should look like. So it's both ways is a problem. People also don't know this knowledge that we all are studying, or just a very few in the world who are studying. Questions, comments, realizations?
Just a realization, Prabhu, that whom we choose as our leader reflects the state of mind of the masses. That's exactly where it is.
Okay, yes, correct, very good. Divya?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. So, Prabhuji, I think I can understand how the democracy concept is flawed because people are electing, and if people aren't trained, it won't work. But then, currently in the world, we also have countries um, that are run by monarchies, or that are based on religion, right? Like if you go to the Middle East, you have these like Islamic run countries where the law is based on their religion. So is that a better alternative than the democracy we have?
So the point being made of what we are reading is that they should be trained, not about some religion. Like Middle East definitely is a very sinful countries. Even if they are following something, they are not really following what properly. So the point being made is that the leader should be trained from authorized scriptures, not some religious. Now, all these religions that we have in the world, which are more than thousands in number, they are all man-made. Krishna did not create all these religions. So all these religions are also imperfect. The only religion is Sanatan Dharma. So leaders should be trained. That's the point, rather than following a particular religion or monarchy. Now, monarchy also, no, but who are sitting there as monarchs and their heirs, they are not trained, and you have the same problem. Divya?
Right, Prabhuji. Yeah. Okay, Prabhuji. Thank
Everybody
you.
on the same page? Questions, comments, realizations?
And so, Prabhuji, given that we are in Kali Yuga and given the structure of this society and political systems, what is the way out?
Very good. The way out is you recognize that you are in a whirlpool, the whirlpool of this Kali Yuga world. And the first 10,000 years where we are right now of Kali Yuga, of which about 500 years have passed from the first 10,000. This first 10,000 years are known as the Satyug within Kali Yuga. These are meant for all devotees to recognize that this world is not where we belong, and use the time, use this life, make this goal of your life that this should be your last life and go back home to Godhead. So you cannot end the world. We have discussed this in Bhagavad Gita chapter 15, verses 3 and 4. Krishna says you cannot end the world. Yeah, we have discussed that analogy that a prisoner cannot end the entire prison house. The prisoner can only end his punishment or reduce his punishment, or by good behavior, he can come out of the prison house. That's what we should be doing, that this world is a prison house. Recognize that this place is a miserable place, not ideal. And let me use this human form of life, not for sense enjoyment, but only focus on spirituality, so that I can go back home to Godhead as soon as possible. And in the upcoming verses, this point will come up of succession planning. I will discuss more when we reach there, but Pragya, does that answer for the time being?
Yes, Prabhuji, what I understood from what you guided was that these years we have to live them out. These whatever Kali periods, we can't change them. So only thing is we can change our own conduct by pursuing.
Yeah. You get out of this miserable condition rather than wanting to fix everything. It's not possible to fix everything. It's beyond our individual abilities. All right. So verses 4 to 6 describe the conditions brought about by Yudhishthir's rule. Pragya, verse 4, translation and purport.
Ji Prabhuji, Hare Krishna. Verse 4, 10.4 translation. During the reign of Maharaja Yudhishthir, the clouds showered all the water that people needed, and the earth produced all the necessities of man in profusion. Due to its fatty milk bag and cheerful attitude, the cow used to moisten the grazing ground with milk. Purport. The basic principle of economic development is centered on land and cows. The necessities of human society are food grains, fruit, milk, mineral, clothing, wood, etc. One requires all these items to fulfill the material needs of the body. Certainly, one does not require flesh or fish or iron tools and machinery. During the regime of Maharaj Yudhishthir, all over the world, there were regulated rainfalls. Rainfalls are not in the control of the human beings. The heavenly king Indradev is the controller of rains, and he is the servant of the Lord. When the Lord is obeyed by the king and the people under the king's administration, there are regulated rains from the horizon. And these rains are the causes of all varieties of production on the land. Not only do regulated rains help ample production of grains and fruits, but when they combine with astronomical influences, there is ample production of valuable stones and pearls. Grains and vegetables can sumptuously feed a man and animals, and a fatty cow delivers enough milk to supply a man sumptuously with vigor and vitality. If there is enough milk, enough grains, enough fruit, enough cotton, enough silk, and enough jewels, then why do the people need cinemas, house of prostitution, slaughterhouses, etc.? What is the need of an artificial, luxurious life of cinema, cars, radio, flesh, and hotels? Has this civilization produced anything but quarreling individuals and nationally? Produced anything but quarreling individually and nationally? Has this civilization enhanced the cause of equality and fraternity by sending thousands of men into a hellish factory and the war fields in the whims of a particular man? Hare Krishna.
There's more purport.
It is said here that the cows used to moisten the pasturing land with milk because their milk bags were fatty and the animals were joyful. Do they not require, therefore, proper protection of a joyful life by being fed with sufficient quantity of grass in the field? Why should men kill cows for their selfish purposes? Why should man not be satisfied with grains, fruits, and milk, which combined together can produce hundreds and thousands of palatable dishes? Why are there slaughterhouses all over the world to kill innocent animals? Maharaj Parikshit, grandson of Maharaj Yudhishthir, while touring his vast kingdom, saw a black man attempting to kill a cow. The king at once arrested the butcher and chastised him sufficiently. Should not a king or executive head protect the lives of poor animals who are unable to defend themselves? Is this humanity? Are not the animals of a country citizens also? Then why are they allowed to be butchered in organized slaughterhouses? Are these the sign of equality, fraternity, and non-violence? Therefore, in contrast with the modern advanced civilized form of government, the autocracy like Maharaja Yudhishthir's is by far superior to a so-called democracy in which animals are killed and men less than an animal is allowed to cast votes for another less than animal man. We are all creatures of material nature. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is said that the Lord Himself is the seed giving Father, and material nature is the mother of all living beings in all shapes. Thus, Mother Material Nature has enough foodstuff both for animals and for men by the grace of the Father Almighty Sri Krishna. The human being is the elder brother of all the living beings. He is endowed with the intelligence more powerful than animals, and for realizing the course of nature and the indications of the Almighty Father. Human civilization should depend on production of material nature without artificially attempting economic development to turn the world into a chaos of artificial greed and power only for the purpose of artificial luxuries and sense gratification. This is but the life of dogs and hogs. Hare Krishna.
Pretty heavy purport. Did you find some relevant points on how to be a successful executive head?
Prabhuji, one thing is to protect all living beings as your citizen, whether it is animal or it is human beings.
Very
Treat them
good.
equally.
Yeah, very good. Rest of you? So correct point that animals are equal citizens of the society. Under Maharaj Yudhishthir as well as Parikshit Maharaj, animals were given equal protection as humans. And the third paragraph in the purport is pretty heavy, what we were just discussing. That third paragraph says, therefore, in contrast with modern advanced civilized form of government, an autocracy like Maharaj Yudhishthira's is by far superior to a so-called democracy in which animals are killed. And this statement is what we were discussing. Prabhupada says, animals are killed and a man less than animal is allowed to cast votes for another less than animal man. Pretty heavy statement, what we were just discussing a few minutes ago about this isn't really a democracy in the world. It is demon crazy, where animals don't have any rights. They are not given protection. They should be equal citizens. Why do you have to kill animals? It's just animal body is just a shell. There is a soul in animal body also. Questions, comments, realizations?
No, Prabhuji, I was just had a realization that we have the government which reflects exactly what we are. So we are like less than animals. So therefore, our government is also made of less than animal people. So in this, I was just thinking that when Yudhishthir Maharaj started ruling, before that, all the useless men were eliminated in that war of Kurukshetra we read in the previous verses. So he got good people, and then good people were ruled by good people.
Yeah.
So now we are bad people, so we are ruled by bad people automatically.
Yeah, very good. Very good realization and connecting the dots. Absolutely correct point that Pragya said, that in the war, all the bad peoples were removed. This was one of the purposes of Krishna having the war. It will come up in upcoming chapters where this question will be raised, that why was Kurukshetra war fought? It will come up very soon. It will come up in Canto 1 someplace. That why was there this Kurukshetra war? And is there in one of the purport. Prabhupada says that Krishna did a shortcut to assemble all the bad people in one place and kill them in one shot. And then, yes, Pragya is back to the point, correct, that Yudhishthir got a clean slate. So you have good people and good rulers. Right now, we have bad people and bad rulers. Very good, Pragya. Very good connection of all the dots. Everybody on the same page?
Prabhu, I had a question on the end of this purport. It states that we should rely on the material nature and not focus on attempting economic development. Yes, economic development can be synchronous with our spiritual, material and spiritual, that's one. But two, did God, or it is in such a way, I'm sure it's God's will too, in Kali Yuga, that we're going to keep going down this route of making more economic progress, automation, computers, whatever, and that we will move further away from our goal of spiritual realization.
So Prabhupada has said this in few lectures about economic development. Prabhupada says economic development is nonsense. And Prabhupada says that we are not against economic development as long as the result of economic development is used in Krishna's service. Otherwise, economic development is nonsense, because we have discussed this in Shishopanishad invocation mantra, that the world is designed perfectly for its purpose. Whatever is required for all the souls in the world is already provided for. It is just the greed of people that creates this scarcity. So there's a verse and purport coming up in Srimad Bhagavatam, not in this chapter, but later, about scarcity. That is there scarcity? There is no scarcity in the world. It is this greed that has created the scarcity. I'll give you a very, very simple example about milk. Here in North America, the dairy industry is so very tightly regulated that these people who run the slaughterhouses, they run this dairy industry also. And there are devotees who maintain cows very nicely in a non-violent way, but these devotees are not allowed to sell the milk. And the milk industry, to keep the price of milk high or keep increasing the price of milk, every day that dairy industry drains out so much milk in the trash. The milk that comes out from the cows is much more than what is available in the market, just so that this dairy industry can keep up with their price, with their greed for increase of price. I'm not joking. They drain out the milk. If all the milk that is available, if it is given freely, the price of the milk will be 25% of what it is now. Vimal Prabhu?
We did this on this probably. I'm aware of it as well. Somebody.
Okay, very good.
So I know somebody. He's draining thousands of liter milk, like good milk. You cannot even donate. You cannot even sell, and it's going in trash, and nobody can use it.
Yeah, very good. Very good. Thank you for validating. Questions, comments, realizations, Pragya?
Prabhuji, why are the current cows who are being also in the Sotla house, why are their udders filled with milk? That also should have been, Krishna should drain them, not give them milk if they are being misused. And Prabhuji, if our duty is just to live this, our life, and try to be Krishna conscious, so that we don't have to come back again. Is it not selfish? That means whatever is happening, we should just keep our eyes shut, because
No,
that is the order.
let me answer both the points. So why there is milk is because Krishna provided the milk for everyone, every citizen on earth. But it's the greed of the people that they are misusing their free will and draining out thousands of liters of milk that actually should be available for poor people. Like even how it said, they don't even allow to donate. They drain it in the trash. In terms of our responsibility, so ISKCON does have a ministry about cow protection and having milk which is from the cow that is maintained in a non-violent way. So it's not that we are sitting silent. It just is that there are challenges. So many years back, it just so happened by chance that I had to go drive His Holiness Bhaktimark Swami from Toronto Temple and another spiritual master, I don't remember his name, not one, but there were three spiritual masters whose normal devotee was supposed to drive at the very last minute, could not drive them. And I just so happened to be at the temple in the morning, and Bhaktimark Swami said, "You are driving us right now." And I said, "Okay, where are we going? When are we going?" Bhaktimark Swami said, "You don't have time, just drive right now." So it was actually a conference which I ended up attending on this cow protection here in North America. So they do have a committee and people from around ISKCON working on this cow protection and not wasting this milk. It's just that it is very challenging because this organized people who are right now sitting in the dairy industries or running the dairy industry, they are way too much corrupt and way too powerful for somebody else to do anything. So there are some inroads made, but there are still a lot of things to be done. So in terms of your point about Pragya, very good point, that we don't have to be selfish, and we are not selfish, but we can only do so much. We cannot go and fight with the dairy industry. Yes, there are devotees who maintain cows and try to give the milk and the milk products to the devotees and to the temple. But there are challenges, except that point as well. Okay.
Prabhuji, one more thing this about this. To humans, the mothers get milk to feed their babies. For cows, the cows get milk to feed their babies. No? Why are we artificially, impregnating cows to give milk and then get milk, and then the calf doesn't get milk? The milk is distributed to others. It is the milk for the calves that cow has got milk.
You are correct. If you go to Vrindavan or Mayapur, where in ISKCON facility where the cows are maintained properly, what they do is first they let the calf of the cow to drink the milk, because the calf has the first right to the milk of the mother. And then leftover milk is taken and distributed or sold. If it's a business, then it's sold, or if it's not a business, then distributed. So you are correct that it is the calf's first right. That is the proper way of maintaining. But here, the dairy industry, they don't let the calf, they keep the cow and the calf separate, which is, of course, a violent way of keeping the mother and the child separate. And then the reason for they keeping them separate is they don't want the calf to drink the milk. Even when there is so much excess milk, they drain out so much milk but they maintain these cows in a violent way, and it is just horrible. So it is not Krishna's fault that there is so much milk. No, Krishna provided the milk for everyone, but it's a greed of humans that they don't use it properly for what the milk is made for. Okay.
Ji Prabhuji, the way the milk industry is, it is as bad as eating meat. Actually,
You are
drinking milk
correct.
is as bad
You
as
are
eating.
absolutely correct. Bang to the point correct that this milk that we drink is violent milk. Therefore, what we all should be doing is that it's very limited, that there are devotees maintaining cows. At least for us devotees, we all should try. Although I also don't do, because it is those people with farmhouses are far away, so it's not easily accessible. But we have to. It's a work in progress. Questions?
Ji
Comments?
Prabhuji, and then they sell it like free range cows, free range chicken, and all those things they say. But
Yeah.
actually, the cow is moving free, but calf is not allowed to go to her. Then it is so cruel.
Yeah, you are correct. Therefore, the milk that comes in the market from this dairy industry is a violent milk.
And Prabhuji, that is everywhere, including in India.
You are correct. Everywhere. It is everywhere. I was just giving the example of North America because I just happened to be at that conference without me wanting to be at that conference. I just happened to be there where I heard and saw and all this, and I was like, what? What's going on? Plus the devotees who maintain the cow, who maintains a farmhouse, we have heard from him also. Vimal Prabhu knows the devotee. Vimal Prabhu had gone to the farmhouse one time. All right. Vimal Prabhu will read verse 5, translation and purport, faster pace.
Hare Krishna. Verse 5. The river, ocean, hills, mountain, forest, creepers, and active drugs in every season paid their tax quota to the king in profusions. Purport. Since Maharaj Yudhishthir was under the protection of the Ajita, the infallible Lord, as above mentioned, the properties of the Lord, namely the rivers, oceans, hill, forests, etc., were all pleased, and they used to supply their respective quotas of tax to the king. The secret to success is to take refuge under the protection of the Supreme Lord. Without his sanction, nothing can be possible. To take economic development by our own endeavors on the strength of tools and machineries is not all. The sanctions of the Supreme Lord must be there. Otherwise, despite all instrumental arrangements, everything will be unsuccessful. The ultimate cause of success is the Devya, the Supreme King. Like Maharaj Yudhishthir knows perfectly well that the king is the agent of the Supreme Lord to look after the welfare of the mass of people. Actually, the state belongs to the Supreme Lord. The river, ocean, forest, hills, drugs, etc. are not creation of men. They are all creation of Supreme Lord, and the living being is allowed to make use of the property of the Lord for the service of the Lord. Today's slogan is the everything is for the people, and therefore the government is for the people and by the people. But to produce a new but to produce a new species of humanity at the present moment on the basis of the God consciousness and perfections of human life, the ideology of godly communism, the world has to again follow in the footsteps of king like Maharaj Yudhishthira or Parikshit. There is enough of everything by and will of the Lord. and we can make proper use of things of life live comfortably without enmity between men or animal and men or nature. The control of the Lord is everywhere, and if the Lord is pleased, every part of the nature will be pleased. The river will flow profusely to fertilize the land, and the ocean will supply sufficient quantities of minerals, pearls, jewels. The forest will supply sufficient food, drug, and vegetables, and the season changes will effectively help produce fruits and flowers to profuse quantities. The artificial way of living depending on factories and tools can render so-called happiness only only to a limited number at the cost of millions. Since the energy of the mass of people is engaged in factory production, the nature products are being hampered, and for this the mass is unhappy. Without being educated properly, the mass of people are falling in the footsteps of the vested interested by exploiting natural reserves, and therefore there is equate competition between individuals and nations. There is no control by the trained agents of the Lord. We must look into the defects of modern civilization by comparison here, and should follow in the footstep of Maharaj Yudhishthir to cleanse men and wipe out anachronisms. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Okay, Prabhupada gives a lot of points about comparison as well as gives the solution that live a simple life and you will get everything from material nature. Okay, and the same point will continue in verse number 6 also. Matan Prabhu, 6 translation and purport.
Hare Krishna. Because of the kings having no enemy, the living beings were not at any time disturbed by mental agonies, diseases, or excessive heat or cold. Purport: to be non-violent to human beings and to be a killer or enemy of the poor animal is Satan's philosophy. In this age, there is enmity toward poor animals, and therefore the poor creatures are always anxious. The reaction of the poor animal is being forced on human society, and therefore there is always the strain of cold or hot war between men, individually, collectively, or nationally. At the time of Maharaja Yudhishthira, there were no different nations, although there were different subordinate states. The whole world was united, and the supreme head, being a trained king like Yudhishthira, kept all the inhabitants free from anxiety, diseases, and excessive heat and cold. They were not only economically well-to-do, but also physically fit and undisturbed by supernatural power, by enmity from other living beings, and by disturbance of bodily and mental agony. There is a proverb in Bengali that a bad king spoils the kingdom and a bad housewife spoils the family. This truth is applicable here also because the king was pious and obedient to the Lord and sages, because he was no one's enemy, and because he was a recognized agent of the Lord and therefore protected by him. All citizens under the king's protection were, so to speak, directly protected by the Lord and his authorized agents. Unless one is pious and recognized by the Lord, he cannot make others happy who are under his care. There is full cooperation between man and God and man and nature, and this conscious cooperation between man and God and man and nature, as exemplified by King Yudhishthira, can bring about happiness, peace, and prosperity in the world. The attitude of exploiting one another, the custom of the day, will only bring misery. Hare Krishna.
All right, Prabhupada is just giving the facts, the life, that how we should not be living. Currently, we are living like this of quarrel and hypocrisy. So let's summarize. So we started with the 2 questions. Question number 1 is, what is the motive behind Maharaj Yudhishthir accepting the duty as a king. And question 2 is, question 2 is, what did Yudhishthir do to become a successful executive head? And the points for these are that even though Yudhishthir did not want to be the king because of loss of relatives, still Yudhishthir accepted the responsibility as a king to satisfy and serve the Lord. Yudhishthir followed instructions of the infallible Lord and Bhishma Dev without his own ideology. Yudhishthir successfully managed the state. There was cooperation between Pandavas and following in the footsteps of previous leaders. Ultimately, cause of success is Daiva, to look after the mass of people. As Yudhishthir is agent of Daiva, therefore Yudhishthir was successful. Yudhishthir did not have any enemies. Yudhishthir served as a servant, not as a boss. Very important point. That why was Yudhishthir successful? Because he was not ruling the kingdom as a boss. Rather, Yudhishthir was serving as a servant, as an agent of the Lord. And the Lord therefore protected Yudhishthir. Then there was cow protection, not just cow protection, but all animal protections also. Animals were treated as equal citizens like humans. All these are important qualities of being a leader. Under Yudhishthir, all were cooperating. There were no enemy. There was no jealousy. In material world, there will always be someone not cooperating. But principle is that you have to serve Krishna. So let's have this palatable or unpalatable conversation whether ISKCON is following these principles of leadership. So all ISKCON leaders are following, or at least they are meant to follow, the GBC, meaning the Governing Body Council. Now, you will notice there is nepotism. Nepotism means that someone is comfortable to work with those who are always saying yes to you. Means work only with your friends and family. Example, that if you are the president, then president of a particular ISKCON temple, then the president's relatives and friends, meaning your yes men, means the president's yes men, will become the secretary or the head pujari, and you are not able to see good qualities in others. So because we have ambitions which are not consistent with previous acharyas, therefore we create our own ideology and we expect others to listen to us. Is this consistent with what we read from the verses about Yudhishthir's leadership? No, it's not. Now, what happens when leaders create rules without following the government, without following the governing body, without engaging devotees? What can be the consequences? Can somebody think of? So my question is that what happens when these leaders sitting in decision-making positions in ISKCON, when they create their own rules without following the governing body, without engaging devotees, what would be the consequences?
Prabhu,
The decay of the society.
Nitya?
loss of trust, loss of faith in following ISKCON. I mean, to follow them.
Yeah, very good.
In
Lot of
following
trust
them,
and faith.
not ISKCON.
Yeah, very good. Lot of loss of faith and trust. Very good. Pragya?
Ji Prabhuji, I was also thinking of the same thing. And if we have that loss of faith and trust, then there will be decay in the society that has been with so much of effort built.
Yeah, very good. Correct point. So you will notice, those of you who are in Toronto temple, and it's possible in other temples also, those of you who are in and around Toronto temple, you will notice that every few years, the whole congregation is lost because of these leaders not following the rules properly. You lose devotees. Every few years, all devotees are gone and you have new sets of devotees. And every couple of years, again, all those devotees are lost and you have new sets of devotees. This has to stop. So, what's the learning from this experience or this conversation? That you don't want to lose devotees. Now, Srimad Bhagavatam, we read in 1.5.11 that Srimad Bhagavatam is going to create a revolution. But where is the revolution? Why is the revolution not happening? The reason for the revolution not happening is because these devotees, you keep losing the devotees, and every 2 years, you have new set of devotees. The analogy to understand this is, say you are trying to boil a milk, and every minute you keep moving the milk from gas number 1 to gas number 2 to gas number 3 to gas number 4. Yes, all gases are running, but that milk will not get boiled. Or even if it gets boiled, it will take a very long time. So that's what needs to happen, which right now seems like a challenge also within ISKCON. And so the question would be that what you all would do differently so as to not lose devotees. So forget others who are following or not following the rules and regulations. At least we all are studying scriptures. We all can do something differently. And the answer is that talk to devotees, inquire from seniors, and engage devotees in decision making, and get guidance from scriptures, from senior devotees, rather than creating your own rules and regulations or creating this nepotism that if I am the president, then my friends and families who are yes men to me will become the secretary and the pujari and all these positions. Now, here's the difficult question, that what to do when you notice that some are not following, especially the leaders are not following what the scriptures are saying. So when anything goes wrong, the first thing is everyone blames management, that management is the problem. So yes, management should deal with compassion, which also is lacking right now. Therefore, the solution for you all is you should deal with everyone with compassion. So we are sadhakas. In the material world, mistakes are bound to happen. When making own rules, then we will become a stumbling block in the growth of ISKCON. So yes, those who will be aspiring to be in management, they should actually read Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, and not just read for the sake of reading. They should actually practice the principles of Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. So you all practice. What others are doing, keep that separate. And as I will discuss more, this will become a little more clear that some may say that things at ISKCON may not be at par with what Srila Prabhupada wanted, then what do? The answer is that this is an operation happening. Operation means painful, just as operation happens in a hospital, it's painful. So we are also trying to change by study of Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. So it's a work in progress. So you all follow what we are learning. You will obviously notice that not many people are following, even in ISKCON, even though they are sitting in leadership positions. Don't blame anyone. You apply compassion. You try to follow what you are learning. You try to follow it properly. So if you see some steps are taken in ISKCON, which are not compatible with what Srila Prabhupada's vision and mood has been, or actually is contrary to the principles, then what to do? In a polluted environment, what should be our approach? The answer is that you keep positive. You do your best. Therefore, when we all go for services, I ask that we should all go together with like-minded devotees. Some of the devotees want to go for services by themselves, and I caution them. And of course, some have no option but to go and do services separately. So I do make arrangements for them, and I say, go and do services with so-and-so and not with anybody and everybody. Because others are not following the rules properly, it is going to contaminate you. So you keep positive, you do your best, and the Lord will expose all those people not following the rules and regulations properly in due course of time. You don't blame anyone. You don't say management is a problem, even though it is true that it is a problem, but you don't blame anyone. Because right now, ISKCON is becoming a profit organization rather than being a non-profit organization. It is literally becoming a profit organization. So the important point is, you do not judge, rather the correct word is, you do not misjudge. Rather, get facts and have compassion and empathy on everyone. You maintain your standards that are set from scriptures and Srila Prabhupada and your Guru Maharaj. Maintain association of devotees that are up to the standards. So many of you from the various batches, we all generally go for doing services together. And there is at least one devotee virtually present here who wanted to do services offline and separate by the devotee. So I did give guidance that, okay, you can do this and you cannot do this, because everybody is not following these standards properly. So other devotees, you just say Hare Krishna with folded hands and move on. So you have to fly your own airplane to go to Goloka Vrindavan. You'll soon read this in 1.15.50 that other pilots cannot help you when you are flying your airplane. Get help while you are on the ground, means while you are in this body on earth. So ISKCON has helped you all to progress to where you are right now. Therefore, you do your best. You do your best in serving Sri Sri Radha Krishna. Don't worry about others. Therefore, we all go, when we go for services, so many of you are virtually present here. What do? We go in at a particular time and we all come out collectively at a particular time, so that it's all of us doing services together. Because many of you know that we all do services properly, or at least attempt to do the services properly according to the standards. And many of you have noticed that others are not following the standards properly while doing the services. So yes, it's a good observation. Don't blame anyone. Don't look at the negative. Just focus on the positive that is around us so that the positive develops in you. So in a polluted environment, what should be our approach? First, understand that you are dealing with Vaishnava and Vaishnavis. If you end up looking at negative points or even fighting or shouting, will become an offense very soon. So at this time, in a polluted environment, yes, understand ISKCON is a polluted environment, but still ISKCON has helped you. So you do your best. You return something from you return something to ISKCON because you have benefited from ISKCON. So at such time, in a polluted environment, you should simply follow your dharma. Whatever service is given to you, simply execute your service without fault finding. Just try to please Guru, Gauranga, and Krishna. So all those others, you don't worry. Krishna will teach them a lesson at the proper time. You just focus on your dharma and Krishna will be with you. Don't become envious of others. Do not find fault with others. And don't worry about doing comparison. Just have the association of like-minded devotees. So service is not about quantity. Service is about quality. So if you practice your dharma, if you protect your dharma, then dharma will protect you. Dharma means the ideology and the standards given in Shastra and by previous acharyas such as Srila Prabhupada. That's what we have to follow. I will pause here for any questions, comments, realizations.
Oh, Prabhu, just a realization, Prabhu. I was just thinking as you were telling about the background at ISKCON, that it really underscores the fact that in ISKCON, where it's all devotees, the highest organization, so much of spiritual thing is there, but they themselves are falling to the politics, right? So is it because it's Kali Yuga and it's designed that way? God will. Again, I was just thinking as you were describing that it's happening in ISKCON, then what's the thing for the rest of the world?
Yeah, you are correct. So this is described in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 29, verses 8, 9, and 10, which describes devotional service in the mode of ignorance, devotional service in the mode of passion, and devotional service in the mode of goodness. So all those people who come to Krishna, which is also described in Bhagavad Gita 7.16, that four kinds of people come to Krishna to start rendering devotional service, but they all have different motives. They are not pure. So they are all under the modes, and therefore there are all these differences, and which has polluted the environment significantly and continuing to pollute. So because all these people who come from material world ideology and they work as if they do the service in ISKCON as if they are working in the material world, and I keep saying that service is not an activity. No, service is what Vijay Prabhu correctly describes as seva. It's not service, seva. Right? So therefore, do your services. But because I am giving the class in English, so I had this conversation with Vijay Prabhu that I have to use the word service. Yeah, the correct word is seva. And my Guru Maharaj has a punchline: Seva will save you. As long as you do the seva with like-minded devotees. So all of us are studying scriptures. We know the standards, and many of you who go to the temple regularly, or even if not regularly, just look around. They are not following the standards properly. Even though they are cooking in the kitchen, they are not following the standards properly. Why would you want to do service with them? You just do your service properly. Yes, it's a polluted environment because the people who are coming there are themselves under the modes. You do your best according to what you are studying. Krishna will take care of them. That is between them and Krishna. You go in for service with like-minded devotees, get out of there, and that's it. Nitya?
Yes, Prabhu, you have given actually the solution also. Thank you.
Everybody on the same page? So many of you are present here who do go for services at the temple. Can either have a conversation now, or if you have something to discuss offline with me, by all means discuss offline with me. Anybody has any realizations on what you have observed on services that we do versus services that others do? Dara, you were there a couple weeks ago when we were cutting fruits and vegetables. What happened when you were cutting that red and green pepper? You want to describe?
Yeah, you showed us how to actually cut those peppers so there's minimal amount of waste. But even though you showed it, some of us didn't.
Yeah, not
We
you
went
all,
back
but
to our normal.
you all were doing it properly, but there were other devotees who had just
Yeah.
come for service. How were they cutting and what happened? And you want to describe what happened there? So all the seeds in the pepper,
Yeah.
right?
It
So
was
they were,
not, the quality was not good.
yeah, the quality was very poor. And
Yeah.
I had to ask all these devotees to redo, to clean
Yes.
that pepper again, because you cannot give seeds to Gopinath.
Yeah.
Therefore, Vijay Prabhu says this is seva. Seva means you are doing with love and devotion, versus others are coming to just do some activity. That is not seva. That service is not just some activity. No, you have to do with love and devotion.
Yes, Prabhu, that was missing, the love and devotion.
Yeah, so you all corrected. So what had happened was there was a mix of devotees. That devotees from our classes were there, and then there were other devotees who just happened to be at the temple, and they say we want to do some service in the kitchen, and they were just cutting the pepper, not even in proper shape and sizes, and not even cleaning the pepper properly, and there was so much waste going on. So we have to do it properly. So you all follow these standards, what you are learning properly. Everybody on the same page?
Yes, Prabhu.
Only few of you, rest of you?
Prabhuji, I'm in a different world.
As in?
Prabhuji, this temple is so, the footfall is so high, and that I don't have people who I am able to connect with, except that I am getting familiar with some devotees who are there.
Yeah,
on Sundays that I go.
Yeah,
but
so
other than
Pragya,
that,
so Pragya, there is a devotee, her name is Preeti. She was here in Toronto and she has learned the standards by doing services with us. She was here in Toronto and she has just went back to Mumbai. So I'm going to set up a time. So she does service at one of the ISKCON temples at Bombay. So you, Pragya, then
Ji, Prabhuji.
Prerna and Priyanka, as well as you can always connect Swapna from before. That if you want to do services and book distribution, so Preeti is also involved in book distribution in Bombay. So I'm going to set up a time where you can go and do services with Preeti, both at the temple as well as for book distribution in Bombay. So you will have that same like-minded. So Preeti has learned. Preeti was here for a few months and she did a lot of services with all of us. She's in the batch 1 and 2 class, even after returning to Bombay. But she has learned, and you can do the services with her so that you also are on the same page. Pragya, does that help you?
Ji Prabhuji, I'm gonna look forward to that connection, but I'm really very scared about this book distribution thing, Prabhuji, in India.
Don't worry about that.
In
Don't worry.
Mumbai.
Yeah, it's very simple. Don't worry about it.
And I don't mind cutting vegetables. I would love to cut vegetables and do those kitchen services, but book distribution facing people, it's something
don't worry
I'm
about
not yet comfortable.
We'll teach you.
Okay.
All right. Homework questions. Question number 1. How did Yudhishthir's rule favorably influence the world situation? Comes from verses 3 to 6. Question number 2 is for next class. Read Canto 1, Chapter 10, verses 7 to 36. I will now answer inquiries submitted from before. There are some leftover inquiries from before. So I had answered some, and I will answer it. Tara, you have a question?
Yes, Prabhuji. Could you please repeat question number 1?
Question number 1 is, how did Yudhishthir's rule favorably influence the world situation? Comes from verses 3 to 6.
Thank you.
All right, so I will answer questions. So the sequence number starts from number 7 because I have already answered the previous questions. Question number 7. Are preaching devotees required to understand parts of Mahabharata? Because many people raise question on Mahabharata, and there are many incidents which differ in different versions of Mahabharata. So without the use of the word less intelligent, try to explain the below points that I am explaining. Try to explain these to ordinary people about Mahabharata without using the word less intelligent. So we'll first read Srimad Bhagavatam 1.4.3. Chandran Prabhu, 1.4.3 translation and purport, faster pace.
Prabhuji, 1 point.
1.4.3.
Okay. Prabhuji, is it that in what period and that is that the next text 3?
Correct.
Okay. Hare Krishna, translation. In what period and what place was this first begun? And why was this taken up? From where did Krishna, Dvaipayana, Vyasa, the great saint, get the inspiration to compile this literature? Hare Krishna.
Purport?
Purport. Because Srimad Bhagavatam is the special contribution of Srila Vyasadeva. There are so many inquiries by the learned Sanaka Muni. It was known to them that Srila Vyasadeva had already explained the text of the Vedas in various ways up to the Mahabharata for the understanding of less intelligent women, Sudras, and fallen members of the family of twice-born men. Srimad Bhagavatam is transcendental to all of them because it has nothing to do with anything mundane. So the inquiries are very intelligent and relevant.
So we have discussed in Bhagavad Gita 4.2 that the culture existing 5,000 years ago during Mahabharata time was a deviated culture. So why would anyone want to read the deviated culture described in Mahabharata? We don't have to read. Plus, Mahabharata is at Karma Kanda level. Karma Kanda is very low level on spirituality path. Rather, one should spend the time to read Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, these bhakti scriptures, because bhakti grants the highest destination of Bhagwan realization. In about next 3 weeks or so, at batch 6 and 7, the yoga ladder discussion is coming up and will make this discussion easier to follow. So even if someone wants to read Mahabharata, ask them to get a copy of Mahabharata from ISKCON to avoid unauthorized versions. Otherwise, there will be differences. Well, there are so many unauthorized versions. So don't read unauthorized versions and avoid the confusion. Does that answer the inquiry? Basically, we don't have to read Mahabharata. There's no reason for us to read Mahabharata. Whatever information is required for preaching activity, it get covered in our Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam discussion. Question number 8. Some people also cite from Mahabharata to say that Lord Shiva is Supreme Lord. So I am confused. So Shiva is a chaste devotee of Supreme Personality of Godhead. Shiva is a very difficult subject matter to explain in brief. Shiva is neither Supreme Personality of Godhead nor an ordinary Jiva. Shiva, meaning the Sada Shiva, is the only individual at the Shiva Tattva level. The Shiva, the demigod that people worship in the material world, is at the Jiva Tattva level like you and me. We'll read Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 4, verse number 16, translation and purport. I will bring up on screen as well. Now this 4.16 is a very good reference to give to somebody who may have this misconception that Shiva is Supreme Personality of Godhead or not. No, Shiva is not Supreme Personality of Godhead. Shiva is just a chaste devotee. So I think, Gauri, you have not read. You want to read faster pace, translation and purport, please.
Yes, Prabhuji. Translation of Srimad Bhagavatam 4.4.16. Do you think that greater, more respectable personalities than you, such as Lord Brahma, do not know this inauspicious person who goes under the name of Lord Shiva? He associates with the demons in the crematorium. His locks of hair are scattered all over his body, and he is garlanded with human skulls and smeared with ashes from the crematorium. But in spite of all these inauspicious qualities, great personalities like Brahma honor him by accepting the flowers offered to his lotus feet and placing them with great respect on their heads. Purport as well?
Yes, faster pace.
The purport. It is useless to condemn a great personality like Lord Shiva, and this is being stated by his wife Sati to establish the supremacy of her husband. First, she said, you can call Lord Shiva inauspicious because he associates with demons in crematoriums, covers his body with the ashes of the dead, and garlands himself with the skulls of human beings. You have shown so many defects, but you do not know that his position is always transcendental. Although he appears inauspicious, why do personalities like Brahma respect the dust of his lotus feet placed on their heads with great respect, those very garlands which are condemned by you? Since Sati was a chaste woman and the wife of Lord Shiva, it was her duty to establish the elevated position of Lord Shiva, not only by sentiment but by facts. Lord Shiva is not an ordinary living entity. This is the conclusion of the Vedic scripture. He is neither on the level of the Supreme Personality of Godhead nor on the level of the ordinary living entities. Brahma is in almost all cases an ordinary living entity. Sometimes, when there is no ordinary living entity available, the post of Brahma is occupied by an expansion of Lord Vishnu. But in general, this post is occupied by a great pious living entity within this universe. Thus, Lord Shiva's position is constitutionally higher than that of Lord Brahma, although Lord Shiva appears as the son of Brahma. Here it is mentioned that even personalities like Brahma accept the so-called inauspicious flowers and the dust of the lotus feet of Lord Shiva. Great sages like Marichi, Atri, Bhrigu, and all the others among the 9 great sages who are descendants of Brahma also respect Lord Shiva in such a way because they all know that Lord Shiva is not an ordinary living entity.
Okay, so we read that Lord Shiva is neither Supreme Personality of Godhead nor at the level of ordinary living beings. So Brahmaji is always an ordinary living entity like you and me. Shiva, the Sada Shiva, is always higher. And then in the purport, the example is given of the milk and curd. In terms of comparison between the Lord and Shiva, that Lord is like the milk and Shiva is like the curd. So curd is also milk, but it still is not milk. It's just a transformed milk is what curd is. Shiva is like that. Shiva is not Supreme Personality of Godhead, but Shiva is a chaste devotee of the Lord and is the greatest Vaishnava. So read the purport. This is a very good reference to give to somebody, 4.4.16 Srimad Bhagavatam, who thinks or who has a misconception about Lord Shiva being supreme, that Lord Shiva is not supreme. We just read here. Shiva is neither the Supreme Personality of Godhead nor like ordinary jivas like you and me. Sada Shiva is a Shiva Tattva of his own, and Sada Shiva is the only individual at that Shiva Tattva level. Okay.
Prabhuji, why would somebody who is not into scriptural reading believe in Srimad Bhagavatam and not in Shiv Puran or some other scripture? How would you quote this particular thing to somebody to convince when Srimad Bhagavatam is not something that everybody reads, but Shiv Puran, Mahabharata, Ramayana, this everybody reads. So,
very good inquiry. So I have described this earlier also, that when somebody asks this question like this, be like a lawyer. Lawyer, what he does, he gives references. So be like a lawyer, and from Shiv Puran, Shiva himself, not anybody else. Shiva himself says Vishnu is the highest. So yes, the Puranas are also at the level of mode of ignorance, where Shiva is trying to get ignorant people also to spirituality. Well, if Shiva is saying Vishnu is supreme, then why would you argue? Yes, if somebody has not read scriptures such as Srimad Bhagavatam, that is understandable. But you can yourself quote from Shiv Puran, and I will bring up on screen. So I have on screen So this is a verse from Shiv Puran where Shiva is speaking this verse to Kartikeya. Shiva is saying, Paramo Vishnu. He comes to the conclusion that he is teaching to all those ignorant people and those who are reading the scriptures who think Shiva is supreme. And you say, well, Shiva himself is saying Vishnu is supreme. Then why don't you believe what Shiva is saying? If you think Shiva is supreme, but Shiva himself is saying Vishnu is supreme. Pragya?
Ji Prabhuji. So basically, if we quote this, then our message indirectly is that you worship Shiva as devotee of Vishnu, like we
Correct.
all
You are
see
correct.
that
You are correct that you can worship Shiva, but not as a demigod, not as independent, not as supreme lord. You worship Shiva as the devotee of Krishna, as the greatest Vaishnava. And that greatest devotee of Krishna, that greatest Vaishnava is actually worshipping the Supreme Lord. Then you get the same benefit of as if you are worshipping the Supreme Lord directly. Okay?
Prabhuji, is there also any reference like Sri Krishna is in love with his devotees and he wants the devotees to be praised so that he is praised? He's more happier when the devotees are praised. So, Prabhuji, is there any reference where Krishna Bhagavan is happy because somebody is worshipping Shiv?
So, in general, there is reference, not about Shiva. So, Shiva, well, I shouldn't say it's not about Shiva. Yes, it is. In this Canto 4, Chapter 4 that I have described, it's not just this Canto 4, Chapter 4. The first 7 chapters of Canto 4, there are a lot of references about Shiva. That if you worship the devotee of Krishna, then Krishna is pleased. So Krishna doesn't say laundry list one by one. So you have 1.5.23. I have it on screen. And Pragya, you can read in the purport. So this is the example of Srila Narad Muni. You read what is highlighted on screen.
Ji Prabhuji, Hare Krishna. From the personal example of Sri Narad Muni in his previous birth, it is clear that the service of Lord begins with the service of Lord's bona fide servants. The Lord says that the service of his servants is greater than his personal service.
Right? What did he
Service
say?
of devotee is
Lord is saying
that
this.
service
Now,
of
right? This Lord himself is saying that service of my devotee is greater than my personal service. The Lord himself is saying this statement. Does that answer your inquiry?
Prabhuji, Ji Prabhuji, very nicely. And Prabhuji, is there any other reference where Krishna Bhagwan is worshipping his devotees, like Radha or
Not right.
Yashoda?
So it's there in Canto 10 that Krishna picked up the sandals of his devotee Nanda Maharaj, placed on his heads and gave it to him. There is reference in Canto 10 about Krishna worshipping Narad Muni. There is reference in Canto 10, chapters 80 and 81, Krishna worshipping Sudama, to set an example of how one should worship great rishis and munis. So Krishna is playing the role of a grahastha. So he's teaching us how a grahastha should worship devotees of Krishna. Okay?
जी प्रभु जी उन्होंने सुदामा के पैर धोए थे.
He
had worshipped him.
And
Prabhuji, Ramayan, there is a reference that before Ram goes to kill Ravan, he worships Shiv Bhagwan. But that is in Tulsi Ramayana. I do not know whether it is there in Valmiki Ramayana or not. But that reference is there. That and when Ram is worshipping Shiv, Shiv is worshipping him back. So that it's very beautifully narrated there. But I do not know whether this is also one of the examples that you are citing, Prabhuji.
Yeah, so we won't get into the Ramayana discussion right now. Okay. Nitya, last question and we'll stop here. It's just getting close to 9 p.m. Toronto time.
Prabhu, just a follow-up. So the devotees who pray to Sadashiva, they also return back home to Godhead, to Vaikuntha, I mean to Golika Vrindavan?
Which devotees?
They who are worshipping Lord Sadashiva, because the Lord says those who worship him, he is also pleased. So are they also having the same result?
Yeah, so this is described at great length in Srimad Bhagavatam. So there's an example given of Brahmaji also and of Shiva also. So if somebody is worshipping Brahmaji as the Supreme Lord, then they don't get to go to spiritual world upon full annihilation. Brahmaji as a pure devotee goes to spiritual world, but those devotees worshipping Brahmaji as individual supreme, those devotees don't attain spiritual world, but they come back to material world in the following creation. And those who worship Brahmaji as the devotee of Lord, then they also go to spiritual world together with Brahmaji upon full annihilation. And the same applies for Shiva also, that those who worship Sadashiva as a devotee of the Lord, they attain the same. So Sadashiva also has a sampradaya, just as we are under the Brahma Madhava Gaudiya sampradaya. Sadashiva also runs the Rudra sampradaya, where everybody is worshipping not Sadashiva as the Lord. They are worshipping Sadashiva as the greatest devotee of the Lord, as the greatest Vaishnava. So then they achieve spiritual world. Yeah.
Thank you, Prabhu. That was a complicated analysis. I'll follow up in our thing. Thank you.
All right, so we'll stop here at question number 8. There are still many more questions for me to answer. We just ran out of time, which I will answer in subsequent classes. Okay, we'll stop here. Hare Krishna, everybody.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Hare Krishna, everyone.
Hare Krishna, everybody.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna, thank you.